Hey now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, and a hey now, and a hey now. Welcome to what is this? Hour number two? Hour number two of the line, baby. If you want to get in, 205-545-9950. That's 545-9950. Yes, sirree. Get up in the cut. Looking at the text line. I'm doing this to stroke my own ego, by the way. Bubba Rumble says talk radio shows like Andrew Mandu, Hey Now Show, are one of the last bastions of free speech we have left. Talk radio, so much better than social media and lamestream media combined. I agree. I agree with that 100%. There's no other place to get your real news than Andrew Mandu. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anyway, looking at and I don't know that I know this full story because I've seen it so many times, but there is a sentencing happening in Fairfax County, Virginia for an illegal migrant groper. An illegal migrant groper in Virginia. We got a lot of those, by the way. A lot of migrant gropers. Too many migrant gropers out there. So we got migrant gropers, we got Congress gropers, we just got too many gropers in general. There was speaking of, there was a some sort of I guess with the ethics committee in Congress, they're reviewing over 20 different instances of sexual assault or sexual impropriety by Eric Swalwell at the moment, or as of yesterday, that I mean, they don't have jurisdiction over him now because he's out of there. But I really hope that whatever they find, they send right over to the DOJ and lock that man up. That would be great. Not just him, but there's many more. I think Anna Paulina Luna said that this is just the tip of the iceberg and expect, 2 or 3 more congressmen to be in the crosshairs very soon of investigations when it comes to sexual misbehavior that is being committed by these sick freaks. Speaking of sick freaks, more bangers from Donald Trump on Truth Social. He's just been, as I noted yesterday, we're in one of those times where Trump is spending, and you can consider it too much time on social media, as we've been talking about social media. You can say he's been spending too much time or he's tweeting too much or whatever. I say, feed me more. Give me more of that. I love it. Whenever Donald Trump's tweeting, I love it. It makes headlines, makes my job easier, and it's just it gives you some insight to the day-to-day of the president. I mean, who would have? Could you imagine 15, 20 years ago somebody saying, "Would you like to see kind of what's in the head of the president of the United States at any given time?" Like, if you were told at any time, just over the past, decade or two, I could give you the opportunity to know what's going through the commander-in-chief's head. If I could give you that ability, would you take it? Everybody would be like, hell yeah, that'd be awesome. Of course, we want to know what the president's thinking. He's a leader of the free world. We want to know what his mindset is. Well, now we got it, and everybody's freaking out. Oh, my God, I can't believe he's telling us what's in his head. I love it. Give me more. Kind of like this banger from 8:30 this morning. Donald Trump says, never allow the traitor Democrats like low IQ person Hakeem Jeffries or crying Chuck Schumer or the totally corrupt fake news media, such as the phony and decaying Wall Street Journal, the failing New York Times, subscriptions are way down, or dying 60 Minutes to demean or criticize Operation Midnight Hammer, which totally obliterated the nuclear dust locations to the point where bloodthirsty Iran has been unable to get to it or dig it out. Space Force has cameras on every inch of the 3 sites that were so brilliantly hit last June. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I like that. I like that. He's obviously addressing accusations from 60 Minutes, from the Wall Street Journal, who is now, Wall Street Journal is apparently a propaganda arm of the Iranian regime, in case anybody didn't know that. That's their new thing. And then crying Chuck Schumer, everybody's favorite Palestinian senator, and low IQ Hakeem Jeffries. Handsy Hakeem, as we call him. They apparently are saying that Iran has their hands on their enriched uranium, and they're what? Going to be making a bomb now? It's got to be exhausting to go from Iran's not a threat. What are you doing? Why are we over there bombing? To, oh my gosh, they've got their uranium. We're failing miserably at stopping them from getting a nuclear weapon. Which is it? Are they a threat or are they not a threat? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And so while Donald Trump is taking shots at low IQ Hakeem Jeffries and crying Chuck Schumer in the Wall Street Journal in 60 Minutes, he's also in the middle of intense negotiations and playing his cards perfectly. Remember what I said yesterday? That Donald Trump knows, unlike most people, the people that have been flipped out on both the left and the right about Trump's language and how he's been talking to the Iranian regime, the words he's been using, like the end of a civilization or power plant and bridge day or blowing up your whole country. Donald Trump understands that these people, this regime, only speaks in a certain language. If you want to get your message across to these people, you have to speak in that way. Even when you talk to them on the phone, you have to yell at them. You have to make them understand that you are angry, unhinged, and are willing to blow them up. That's the only thing they understand. Otherwise, they'll just do what they do. And it's not like Donald Trump had to put together some big equation to figure it out. It's simple. Look at what previous presidents have done that didn't work and do the opposite. What did previous presidents do? Well, they played niceys with Iran. They talked to them nicely. They said, pretty please. They said, here's $1.7 billion. They said, oh, yeah, we'll trust you that you don't have a nuclear weapon. We just want to be friends. None of that worked. Because that's not the language the Iranian regime speaks. That's not the language that Islamic extremists speak. They speak in the language of blood and gore and death. That's the language they speak. They speak in the language of executing young women. They speak in the language of throwing gays off buildings. They speak in the language of killing protesters by the tens of thousands. And if you don't speak to them in that way, you're not going to get anything done. It's very simple. And as a matter of fact, Donald Trump is using that to his leverage in the lead up to what is going to be these negotiations in Pakistan. The vice president, J.D. Vance, and the rest of the negotiating team are leaving for Pakistan today. The ceasefire ends tomorrow. Once the ceasefire is over, if a deal is not reached, we go back to bombing. It's very simple. That's what ceasefires are for. Ceasefires are meant to say, all right, we're going to stop blowing you up for this amount of time. You got this 2 weeks, You got this. Well, it was 10 days. And by the way, the end of this negotiating deadline tomorrow is not new. It's been around for 10 days. At the end of this 10 days, if we don't come to an agreement, then we're going back to doing what we were doing before the ceasefire. It's very simple. So anybody that freaks out about any kind of bombing that starts happening on Thursday, tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine. That's just how this works. So Donald Trump is negotiating, trying to avoid that because he does not want that. And he's setting the stage already. He's giving Iran opportunities to show that they are negotiating in good faith to save them a lot of trouble because they're going to be dealing with a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble on Power Plant and Bridge Day. They really will. And he's given them an opportunity to start off on the right foot with this tweet. He says, to the Iranian leaders who will soon be in negotiations with my representatives, I would greatly appreciate the release of these women. Remember, they have 8 women, young women, that are sent to be executed. He said, I am sure that they will respect the fact that you did so. Please do them no harm. Would be a great start to our negotiations. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And he posted a tweet that said, you know, the Islamic Republic is preparing to hang 8 women. Not a word from the international community or so-called human rights organizations. Not a word from the Democrats or the mainstream media either. You know, the ones that stand up for women. And he posted the pictures of the 8 women. 8 beautiful young women that are going to be hung by the Iranian regime. He says, hey, you want to start off on the right foot on these negotiations? Let those women go. Don't execute them. And Donald Trump may very well save those women's lives by doing that. Because Iran is in the business of what? They're in the business of deceiving, but they're also in the business of stalling. They want to drag this out as far as they can because they've been able to do it with previous presidents. So they may very well release these women and then say, okay, we released the women. Can you give us another 10 days? Of course, I don't believe that's going to happen. There's not going to be an extension, but prayers for those 8 young women. Hopefully they don't get executed. But we'll see over the next 48 hours how this goes. Again, J.D. Vance going to be headed to Pakistan for these negotiations. A lot of faith been put being put on J.D. Vance from the president, by the way, which gives me a lot of confidence in what J.D. Vance could do as president. This is looking towards the future. This right here is J.D. Vance's time to shine and lay the groundwork for what will be his resume for 2028. If he can get in there and accomplish something great, it's going to be hard for any other Republican to get on stage and argue against that. You're gonna argue against the guy that was spearheading the Middle East peace deal that brought peace to the Middle East for the first time in our lifetimes, if not ever. And I think J.D. Vance knows that. It's really irrelevant. I mean, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it shouldn't be at the top of his mind or the priority list. You should be focused on the mission at hand. But if we're just looking at the political realm, that's unavoidable. I mean, that is the truth. You are laying the groundwork for your future presidential run, which everybody knows he is going to do. So let's see. Let's see how that pans out. Donald Trump on what was he on? Fox Business this morning. What's the Fox Business show? No, it's CNBC. with whatever the guy's name is that does the CNBC show. Had a lengthy conversation via phone with the host and dropped a couple of interesting details that we have not heard yet. I'll give you that when we get back. 205 545 9950. More than line next. Man, I wish some of y'all could just have access to our text line and just read some of the stuff that comes into this show throughout the day. It's wild, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, especially for those of y'all that hate my guts. Like it's entertaining when I don't always see them because I don't always read the text line, but sometimes I do, and I just can't help but think like, wow, this is so wild. Because but listen to this one right here. Listen, this is from Julianne. It says you are digging yourself in more every day. And I'm like, what did I say? What did I do? Did I say something wrong? Did I say something untruthful? Am I spreading misinformation? She follows it with saying, time to turn off local radio and get back to the Tucker Carlson podcast. And I was like, oh, there it is. There it is. I am shelling for Israel, is what it is. And we do this. We do this every week, by the way. And this is why I say I wish y'all could see the text line, because it is a mix of, and depending on what day it is, I'm either shilling for Israel or I hate the Jews. Some days I am a propaganda arm of the Israeli government. And then the next day I hate the Jews, which is, quite exhausting. It's quite exhausting for me to go from supporting Israel to hating the Jews day to day. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Just just call it for what it is, man. You gotta get over this Jew stuff. Like some of y'all gotta just like touch some grass, right? There's some middle ground there. I get it. There absolutely is some middle ground. But I saw something from somebody. What was it? Talking about personal responsibility and like your actual day-to-day life. Like you being able to decide how your life goes and how your day goes. And I believe in, powerful people and powerful entities controlling things. I mean, this is no secret. Y'all listen to the show. Y'all know how I feel about, deep state and Soros and Rockefellers and everything else. But it's like in your day-to-day life, are the Jews keeping you from going to the gym? Or are the Jews keeping you from going on a date with your wife? Like how much are they affecting your life? Just be honest. Tell me what are they doing to you? Okay, so Julianne didn't go back to the Tucker Carlson podcast because I see she texted again. I haven't read it yet. I'll check it out though. Don't worry. I'll check it out. 205-545-9950. Express Oil Change and Tire Engineers. Express Oil Change. This is where I get mine done. Why ain't that where you're getting yours done? These guys have raised a lot of money. $1.2 million for Children's of Alabama. And for the rest of the month of April, every oil change that happens at Express, they're donating $1 back to children. So you just get it together, man. Get your oil change. That is the lifeblood of your vehicle. And if you need somewhere solid to go, it's a home of the 10-minute oil change. So get in there, get it done, get on your way. Most of us have busy schedules anyway. So you want to be able to get her done and get on the road. That's Express Oil Change. If you need to find out where one is near you, go to expressoil.com and find it. Most of y'all know where one's at. I mean, they're all over the place, which tells you that they're good at what they do. So get it hooked up, man. Get it hooked up. I know some of y'all like to do it yourself, and that's fine. But, the newer the cars get, it's just kind of like, just get somebody else to do it. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. Just go get it done. ExpressOil.com. ExpressOil.com. So with the negotiations, all right, we have the deadline. We have the end of the ceasefire looming. We are going to see. We really don't even know if anybody's going to show up to the negotiations in Islamabad, Pakistan. But maybe they do. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. The people that we've been negotiating with are apparently they don't really have the ability to negotiate, at least the ability that they portrayed. They acted as if, we're making the calls here. Apparently they're not. Apparently they're not making the calls. And the people that are making the calls are the people with the guns. I explained all this yesterday. The IRGC commander, Ahmad Vahidi, is his name. He is a guy that's been around for a long time. He is he is an Islamic fundamentalist extremist that has been causing terror around the world, that's killed many innocent people. And for anybody that claims to care about innocent lives and then simultaneously will say, well, Iran's not a problem, they're stepping all over themselves. You're being a hypocrite. If you care about innocent lives, you need to not pick and choose which innocent lives you're caring about, because that's essentially what's happening here. When it comes to Ahmad Vahidi, this guy is responsible for countless deaths, and he's the one overruling Iranian officials who want to make a deal with the U.S. It's going to be a bad move if he continues, because he is going to make the hit list, likely make the hit list. He is reportedly behind a list of atrocities spanning back decades. That includes Argentina's deadliest terror attack back in 1994. Analysts describe Vahidi as a radical hardliner who rose through the ranks of the IRGC during the Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s. He's been connected with terror attacks such as the 1983 Beirut bombing that killed 241 U.S. service members, and an attack on the U.S. Embassy in Yemen in 2008. He is on the IRGC military side, who's holding most of the cards here in power because he has the guns, seems to be much more of a hardliner. Vahidi takes control of the IRGC quite literally, with the threat of death hanging over him. So this guy's been killing or directing people to kill innocent civilians and our service members for decades. And my thing is like, what are we waiting for? Let's take him out. Take him out. Because there's a good chance with the intelligence that we have, not just here at home, but in the Middle East, that they know where this individual is. And you know, there's probably conversations about what happens if we take him out. What happens with the IRGC, who's next in line and everything else. And that is really what's got us in this situation in the first place, which is not an unmanageable situation. It's kind of really the only route we had to take. With the initial operation and the fact that we took out not just the supreme leaders, but so many top military leaders and government officials, it caused the power vacuum that now has us in the position where it's not really clear who to negotiate with. That we've got people from the Iranian government that want to make a deal, but because there is no tippy-top leadership, the gay Ayatollah is somewhere in a underground hospital, in a hospital bed, unconscious, on a ventilator or whatever. Everybody's kind of like, no, I'm going to call the shots. No, well, I'm calling the shots. And then this guy over here, Vahidi, he's like, well, I got the guns. I've got the military. So I'm calling the shots. And that's essentially the long and short of it. Now, granted, you've got the guns, but you've isolated yourself in the Middle East by willy-nilly bombing everybody else and the rest of your Gulf neighbors. And you don't have any kind of backup. You don't have the ability to go up against the United States. You just have the ability to cause an annoyance and cause chaos that ultimately causes the Strait of Hormuz to be closed down or ships refusing to go through the Strait of Hormuz. With that, whatever his decision may be, whether it is to, and it sounds like, they're in the business of constantly putting out tough talk. They will continue to do that. It seems unlikely that he will allow a deal to go through. If he does, good for him. If he doesn't, they're toast. That's it. And even interestingly enough, they are still trying to get help from one of their only allies left, which is China. Donald Trump on CNBC this morning putting out the info that I hadn't heard this yet, that China was possibly trying to give Iran a gift during the ceasefire. Apparently, they were sending a ship over that way that had what he described as a gift. And even though he didn't say what it was, we've got to imagine that it has something to do with weaponry for the IRGC. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Interesting though. I like the fact that he's going to be meeting with the Chinese president soon, and he treats this shipment, whatever it may be, to the Iranians from China is kind of a hey, that's how war goes. Sucks that you got caught, but we got and this is something that this is a game we play with China often. It's a cat and mouse game, really, no matter who the president is. Just some presidents happen to, not actually play a part in the game and just let China do whatever they want, like, you know, Chinese spy balloons or whatever it may be. Uh, but Donald Trump understands the game so well that he says, you know what? I've got a good relationship with President Xi. Uh, he was sending over stuff to help Iran, even though the messaging has been from China to Iran, hey, y'all make a deal because not only is this not good for you, this is not good for us. So if y'all can just go ahead and kind of settle this, it'd be great. While behind the scenes, they are secretly helping Iran because they want Iran to come out on the better side of this. Why? Because as we know, they get a tremendous amount of oil from Iran. They get very cheap oil. And if Iran ultimately ends up decimated, whether they're blowing up power plants or bridges or whatever, that is going to tremendously affect Iran's ability to get oil, discounted or not, to the Chinese in any form or fashion because they're going to be too busy rebuilding, putting everything back together. And it might just put China in a position to where they have to get their oil from a little place called the United States of America. Now, wouldn't that suck for China? Wouldn't that suck for China to have to rely on one of the most important imports that you could possibly have to rely on the United States for that? Welcome to our world, buddy. We've been relying on China thanks to weak leadership for our imports, for some of the most important things for a long time, like medications or semiconductors or whatever. We've had to rely on a situation where it's possible that China could just pull the plug one day and completely screw us over. Donald Trump is completely resetting all of that and putting America in the position where the rest of the world's got to rely on us, not just militarily, but also economically. That's something we haven't had in a very long time. And that, my friends, is called true independence. 205-545-9950 if you want to get in. More of the line coming up. The Line Talk 99.5. Julianne is still rage texting the show. I usually don't give people this kind of attention, but she's blowing up the text line. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, and I'll read her text messages. Plus, I want to take advantage of being a Jew lover today before I turn into a Jew hater tomorrow, according to the audience. So let's just take advantage of it while it's here, right? I can't read all of these. Bring this up on the show. If you're truly concerned about the truth, you won't read it. We all know that. You are not paid to tell the truth. Yeah, actually, that's correct. Bibi Netanyahu just left the station, dropped me off a $7,000 check that I'll be cashing after the show. And we're going to have a good time tonight. Yes, sirree. No, actually, in reality, I've said this before. You don't have to believe me. I've never once, and I'll even say that, this is a testament to 99.5, but really in all three stations I've ever been at, I've never once been told what I am supposed to talk about or what my opinion should be. Not one time. God strike me dead if I'm lying to you. Not one time have I ever been told, you know what, your opinion is not right. You need to have the opinion of this. You need to do X, Y, and Z. The only time I've ever been told to do something on air, like with my show, is like at a previous station where our boss would be like, he would say, well, I've got this individual, his name is so-and-so, and he's the founder of, diddly do whatever foundation, and we need every host to interview this man, which I didn't actually do. I just pretended I did. But that's the only time I've ever been told about, like, what I need to put on my show is, like, to interview some random guy. Everything else is my opinion. And it's my opinion. If you want to get your panties in a wad over my opinion, that's fine. I mean, you've got the option to listen to this show or not. It's completely up to you. She says, Israelis are attacking Christian towns. How many times has Iran ever attacked the U.S.? That number is 0. Did I not just give you stats on all the innocent people that the Iranians have killed, including U.S. soldiers? Apparently, Julianne doesn't care about those. And I think this sums it up right here. And this is the last one I'm going to do because, again, she's going to keep rage texting the text line. She says, flesh-eating, Epstein-loving Trump is a compulsive liar. And I think that puts a nice little bow on top. So take that for what it's worth. Anyway, it just goes back to the idea of, listen, good things are happening. We're trying to solve everybody else's mess. Nobody complained about this stuff until Trump was in office. And Leland made a point that I had made in the past as well. And it comes down to, and not necessarily in this situation, there's obviously a serious hatred for Israel in that case, but just in the sense of adversity, national adversity, and confronting problems. Our society here in the U.S. has been lulled into a place where a lot of Americans can't seem to mentally and emotionally handle adversity that comes with solving problems, because we have lived in a society for so many years in modern times with presidents that don't confront problems. They just pass them off to the next guy. And that's the problem at all levels of government, not just as president, but your senators, your congressmen, maybe even your local officials. If there is a big problem that might not be politically popular to tackle for one reason or another, they would much rather just kick the can down the road and let the next guy handle it. And that's what's happened so many times for decades, especially when it comes to Iran. This is an almost 50-year-old problem that president after president has just kicked the can down the road and said, you know what, not going to get involved because it might politically hurt me. And instead of doing that, instead of Donald Trump saying, you know, I don't want to hurt J.D. Vance's chances, he said, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing that nobody else would do, and I'm going to solve this problem once for all.